Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, my name is Parky. I'm a postdoctoral fellow in clinical psychology at Stanford University, and today I'll be talking about the difference between reactivity and responsivity, and how do we be less reactive to negative situations and be more responsive based off our goals and our values. So let's get into the video. So there's a quote that I talked about in another video before by Viktor Frankl, who once said, "Between stimulus and response, there is a space. And in that space lies our power to choose our response. And in that response lies our growth and our freedom." And I really love this quote because I think it really underlies this difference between reactivity, where we don't allow for space between stimulus and response and we act on our urges, and responsivity, which creates some level of space so that we can really highlight and identify what are our values and what are our goals in that moment, and then decide the action that takes us most likely to that goal. So I think of reactivity kind of like our immediate impulsive response to a situation, and we kind of just act on whatever emotions grip us in that very moment. So for example, if we are anxious, then we're gonna run away, or if we're angry, we're gonna fight. So we don't really think twice about what we should do in that moment and what's consistent with our values. It's just kind of like a very impulsive reaction to a situation. So a couple good examples of reactivity might be if a friend or a partner makes an insensitive comment at you and your immediate response is to yell something back and say something nasty to them. Or if you get really anxious when you're thinking about doing homework, your immediate response might be to go on TikTok or Instagram or this YouTube video to procrastinate from doing the work. On the other hand, being responsive means really thinking through, what are my goals in this moment? What's important to me? What are my values before I decide on the most appropriate action that's consistent with those goals and values? So in a lot of ways, I'm creating space between stimulus and response so I can really carefully consider what are my values in this moment and decide to proceed mindfully to be able to get to where I want to go. So in the case of a friend or a partner making an insensitive comment to me, I might really carefully consider, is it important for me to be right and attack back? Or is it more important for me to really share and express my feelings so that I'm maintaining the relationships while setting a proper boundary? So in this case, I'm being really thoughtful as to what is my goal in this situation? Is it to distract myself so I don't have to think about homework? Or should I get started on the homework because that's a value to me? And I'm able to kind of really decide what is my goal in that moment before I decide what to do. So the difference between this more automatic reactivity and this more deliberate responsivity kind of reminds me of the book Thinking Fast and Slow by Dr. Daniel Kahneman, where essentially he outlines two main systems of thought. That there is a system one thought that is more automatic, it's more unconscious, it kind of just immediately pops up in different situations, and this more slow system two type thinking, which is a lot more deliberate and thoughtful. And the question becomes, how do we make sure that we don't immediately go into system one and follow that urge, and actually allow space for system two to kick in and identify our values and then act according to them? So in order to create some more space between stimulus and response, I'm going to teach you a skill in dialectical behavior therapy that we commonly use, known as the STOP skill. So the STOP skill is an acronym that stands for stop, take a step back, observe, and then proceed mindfully. So when you're in an emotionally activating situation or a stressful situation, the first thing that you can do is literally stop and freeze in place. You can even imagine a giant stop sign in your mind's eye so that it really freezes you into place and you don't fall into any impulses or immediate reactions to the situations. And then after that, you can take a step back. This can be a physical step back, it can be a mental step back, but really you're creating some space between you and the situation. So once you've stopped and taken a step back and created some distance from the situation, the next step is to observe. So really noticing what's happening in your body, in your mind, in your physical sensations, what emotions are coming up, as well as what's happening in the environment. What are the facts of the situation? And once you've gathered all that information, that allows you to then proceed mindfully based off your goals and your values. And when you're proceeding mindfully, I really do encourage you to think a lot about what is truly important to you. Is it the relationship? Is it being right? Is it getting work done and being successful? Is it to distract yourself? What are your goals and your values in that moment? And let those be the North Stars to dictate the behaviors that you decide to engage in that very moment. And to really bring this skill to life, you might even think about a recent situation where you felt a little bit uncomfortable and you might have reacted based off of your emotions in that moment. Really bring those sensations back and then stop, take a step back, observe your emotional experience, your physical experience in that moment, and then proceed mindfully. So you can do a little bit of a practice even through imagining what that situation was. And sometimes, even if you're doing some amazing work to stop and take a step back, our emotions might be still really high, like we might still feel really, really angry or distressed or guilty or ashamed, and we need to pull from some distress tolerance skills to be able to reduce those emotions enough to be able to act effectively. So we can pull from some skills like deep breathing, splashing our face with some cold water, intense exercise, something that gets you more re-regulated to be able to then proceed mindfully. So of course, just like with any other skill, the stop skill requires consistent practice to get really good at it and create that space between stimulus and response. So you might start with some low stakes situation in daily life, really just practicing it on a day-to-day before you make your way up to the big kahunas of stress. And you can even remind yourself to practice the skill by writing a little note to yourself that says stop. I think this one is reversed because I reversed the video, but anyway, you get the idea. And you can even practice the stop skill even after watching this video to decide mindfully what you want to do after. Do you want to watch another video? Do you want to do something else? Regardless of what that might be, I want you to take a moment to pause and decide to proceed mindfully based off your goals and values. And in a lot of ways, our emphasis on values is the most important thing, because ultimately, I don't think there's one right way to live life. There's only a right way for you, and that's determined based on your values. So really, I want to help create a space between stimulus and response for you to be able to align with your values and choose the behaviors most consistent with it. And in a lot of ways, as a result, I don't think therapy is always about making a change. It's about giving the patients a choice. And to end this video, I'll conclude with a slightly modified version of Robert Frost's famous poem, "Two roads diverge in a yellow wood, and I encourage you to choose the one most consistent with your values, because that makes all the difference." Anyway, that's all for this video. Thanks for watching. I hope you found it helpful, and if you did, I encourage you to subscribe because I'll be making more videos just like this down the road. Take care.